Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Above the Rim. I'm Austin Townley, joined by James Derrick and Jack Haskell, presented by Afterthought Sports. And today we're going to be going over some of the awards for this NBA season. So stay tuned and let's get right into it. First of all, what's going on, guys? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
It's a happy Wednesday indeed. We get to go home by the end of this week, so I'm looking forward to it at least a little bit. Our next episode will be from home. Yeah.
From home, yeah.
Syracuse, New York.
Yeah, baby.
Maybe we could catch a Cuse game while we're home.
I don't know. I don't know about all that.
It's like I'm not going to watch that sorry team. Why would I go and watch Syracuse basketball, man? Oh. Well, there were some crazy games this week, some crazy performers. James, why don't you take us through that?
Yeah, so earlier this week, if you want to go all the way back to last week, if you might remember that LeBron had a 40-piece with 8 rebounds against the Blazers. The Knicks and Bulls had a good game where Cat performed pretty well. Going more into the week, though, specifically over the weekend, I feel like one of the bigger games that everyone remembers is Lakers-Nuggets. The Lakers beat the Nuggets by over 20 points. Almost, if you will, season-defining win. This is a team that struggles to beat the Nuggets in particular. They had a good defensive game plan for that game. Luka with his first not triple-double, but first 30-point game as a Laker, 32, 10, and 7. And then kind of going forward into this week, we saw just last night the Mavericks and the Lakers. Luka had 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists, so a big night for him again against his former team. Anything else that you guys really grabbed from this week that was big enough? It was a lot of Lakers. It was a lot of Luka, but that's kind of what's new right now.
Yeah, I remember watching that Lakers-Nuggets game with you, James, about the first quarter of it, and Aaron Gordon hit 2 really quick three-pointers, and I turned to you because full disclosure, I haven't watched very much Nuggets basketball this year. I was like, is Aaron Gordon like a sniper? And you were like, no, he will not do anything for the rest of the game. And he didn't hit another 3 for the rest of the game.
No, he actually hit threes at a pretty decent clip in that game. It might have been another one, but he was like 4 for 7. They were daring him to shoot, and it was kind of weird to see. The Lakers dare a guy like Aaron Gordon to shoot, and the Nuggets had full confidence in him letting that thing fly, and I know that's kind of what caught you off guard. Is like it was a no hesitation, just catch and shoot.
That's always been like my complaint in scenarios like that. Like, yes, he's not a three-point shooter, but if he's knocking them down, why are you continuing to let him shoot them?
Because you got guys like Michael Porter Jr. to shoot the 3, or Christian Brown to shoot the 3, and Jokic to shoot the 3, or Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon is not a guy I want shooting all the threes on my team. Although he can do it, it's not something that you want all the time, consistently being your 3-point shooter. With that being said, that was kind of last week's games and a little into this earlier this week. But let's go into our award predictions. We're going to start off with MVP, I believe.
This is going to get good.
James, start us off, bro.
Yeah, so my MVP, I begrudgingly have to say, at least with a big, a look at the standings, I see Shea running away with this thing. Especially also, we just talked about the Lakers finally catching up to the Nuggets, it seems. The Thunder are really the only team in the West that's really separated themselves from anyone else. And I think Shea's going to win it. I think more so due to the W's that he has. But honest to God, I do think Nikola Jokic, stat-wise, could very easily deserve it yet again.
Oh, 100%. And there's such thing as voters fatigue. I also have SGA winning the MVP this year. I think that is a narrative that is also being pushed throughout the media and the NBA. That is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for MVP, and rightfully so. He's having a Kobe-esque year when it comes to scoring the basketball, leading his team. He's got that dog in him. When they do the post-game interviews, they're all surrounding. They're all
They tell him he's got aura.
Exactly. They say he's got a lot of aura. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to me, in my eyes, just reminds me a lot of that dominant shooting guard role who just scores the ball at a very, very, very good clip. And he does it so smooth. And when you watch his game, there's nothing about the way that he scores other than it's a lot of free throws. I will say that, but it's part of basketball. You know, it really is. And the way that he scores, it's not like it's just smooth. There's nothing that he does, and I'm like, that's really not that cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got SGA too. Like you guys have mentioned, like he's just been on a complete tear this season. He's really elevated the Thunder. I don't think the Thunder would be where they are in the standings without him, and I think the Thunder are going to have a really deep NBA playoff push because of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
100%.
I think that's still to be seen, though, at least a little bit. I know they were poised to do the same thing last year, but they just didn't flat out. So I'd be interested to see what a little more experience does for this team when the playoffs roll around. That is all to be seen. But they haven't quite had that level of success yet in the playoffs.
They've got such good chemistry this year, though. Like, I know you can say the same thing about last year, but, like, even to Austin's point, like, you look at their post-game interviews, like, down to their own reporter. Like, they will go to their own hometown reporter before they go to the ESPN reporters after the game. Mm-hmm. And all of the guys, whether it's Shai being interviewed or J-Dub being interviewed post-game, they all just surround each other. They're cracking jokes. They're just having so much fun with each other. I think they're even in front of the Knicks this year with teams with the most on and off the court chemistry.
Yeah, and they kind of remind me of the Eagles of the NFL. They kind of got, last year the Eagles, before they won the Super Bowl this year, they got, eliminated pretty early. They, without a doubt, had one of the better teams, and they got better again the offseason. The Thunder did the exact same thing, and, here we are.
And they're all best friends, too.
They got to prove it, though.
I think that's going to be crucial.
Yeah, I mean, another big thing that they did in the offseason was trade for Alex Caruso. I mean, he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the game right now. He can also knock down the three at a good percentage. He's another dog that they brought to their squad. Now, I do agree with James. It comes down to experience. It was shown last year in the playoffs, and I don't think 1 year in the playoffs is necessarily experience per se. Yes, you got that shot. You got that 1 year under your belt. But that doesn't mean that they're ready for this. They've never seen an NBA Finals before. I think they will get to a Finals before they win a Finals. And I think we will see them win an NBA Finals maybe next year or the year after that. I don't necessarily think they're a 100% lock for winning the championship this year, even though they are clearly one of the better teams in the NBA.
Yeah, 100%. I don't have them winning the NBA championship this year quite yet. Maybe not even making the finals. I think they can make the conference finals at the very least, but I think only time will tell to see if they make the finals and then if they can pull off the impossible and win the NBA championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and health is also a big thing. We see Chet Holmgren missing a lot of time. That matters. I mean, Chet Holmgren is their big young star to man the middle. When they were playing with Chet on the floor, dominance. Honestly, It was dominance. Without Chet, they kind of struggle a little bit more on the defensive end, and they let Shai kind of, take over on the offensive side of things. But even still, without Chet, they're still one of the better defending teams in the NBA with Lou Dort, Alex Caruso. I mean, Shai can guard. He's a big guard. You never know what this team can do, and it's the biggest question mark in the NBA, honestly, when it comes to really true contenders.
Yeah, and I one last point that I want to make is I know, people accuse Shai of being a free throw merchant, and I feel like sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. But just in general, playoff basketball, they're going to let you play a lot more. So maybe I'd be interested to see if we can keep track. How many free throws does he attempt per game now? How many free throws does he attempt per game in the playoffs? Does it go up? Does it go down? Does it stay the same? And then, reflect on the team's success following that too.
I don't know if I've ever told you guys this. I once said that Colin Sexton was a better player than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So now, seeing the dominance that SGA has brought and the fact that he's the front runner for MVP, I look back at that and I just kind of laugh at myself a little bit.
When did you say that?
This was when Colin Sexton was still on the Cavaliers, and shout out my good friend Luke Dwyer, huge Thunder fan. He was very high on SGA as soon as he got to OKC, and I saw what Colin Sexton was doing in Cleveland. I see Austin shaking his head. And Colin Sexton, to be fair, I think he averaged like 22 points at the peak of his career in Cleveland.
Colin Sexton, no doubt he was a dog. I mean, but I don't know. How much better were you saying Colin Sexton was than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Like,
I don't even know if it was an extent. I think I was just saying that, like, I would have rather had Colin Sexton on my team over Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
We're talking about the same Colin Sexton and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
This was Colin Sexton on the Cavs and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, very young in his OKC career.
We're talking about the same players, correct? Because SGA on the Clippers as a rookie took the Golden State Warriors to 6 games. 6.
Was it just SGA on the Clippers, though?
It wasn't just... Yeah, it was the only guy playing. No, it wasn't just SGA, but look at that team. That team was not even close to be like competing with the Warriors.
And I mean, hey, I was proven wrong.
Yeah, that's something. Yo, I would never tell anyone that ever again.
I don't know why
you're tell anyone that, Jack.
Yeah,
you heard it here first, guys. Colin Sexton is apparently better than SGA according to
Not anymore. Not anymore. I will take the freezing cold take on that one.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That was really bad. Moving on.
Yeah.
Let's get into Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like a toss-up. There's a lot of rookies that could potentially win this award. There's a lot of rookies that can climb up the ladder, go down the ladder. Jack, who do you got for this year's Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I mean, it was Jared McCain. Wasn't always a big fan of him for numerous reasons, but unfortunately he did go down with that season.
Numerous reasons?
Numerous reasons?
He played for Duke. He's just got this.
Is it because he paints his
to
nails,
him.
Jack?
No, it is not because he paints his nails.
Something tells me it's because he paints his nails.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with painting your nails in the year 2025. But that's not why I didn't like Jared McCain.
What if he wanted to do it last year or the year before that?
Regardless, I think Jared McCain was a really crucial piece for the 76ers before he went down with his season-ending injury. But he can't be Rookie of the Year anymore, obviously. So I think Stephon Castle, especially with Victor Wembanyama out for the season, I think just coming off the bench in that 6-man role behind Chris Paul and De'Aaron Fox, and even having those two guys for that veteran leadership and the experience and knowledge that he's going to get from them, I think he's going to take it in the second half push of the season, and I think he's just going to be really crucial for the Spurs.
I don't disagree whatsoever. I mean, to be honest, you can say that this award is a toss-up or not, but the betting odds for Castle to win Rookie of the Year are a lot higher than second place, who I have as Jalen Wells. Honestly, I know this award doesn't have a lot to do with record, and it shouldn't. But what it comes down to is Jalen Wells is shooting damn near 40% in his rookie season, which you don't see a lot of guys do.
That's actually really good. That's impressive almost
and
for
he
a rookie
could,
year.
And he will very well end up being on a team that's in the playoffs, potentially as far as the Western Conference Finals. I don't know how high any of you guys are on the Grizzlies, but the Grizzlies, while they haven't been amazing as of late, they're going to end up being that 3, 4, 5 seed in the Western Conference. So I think that, should have something to do with it. Jalen Wells is producing at a Stephon Castle level, almost, not quite, but, on a great team.
My only argument with that, I don't think Jalen Wells passes the eye test. There's a very specific eye test when it comes to winning NBA awards, and I just don't think, to no fault of his own even, I just don't think he passes it.
Cap, you never watched him play. My pick is Stephon Castle, with the reason being Victor Wembanyama is going to be out for the rest of the season. He's going to be that 6-man type of role moving forward. And honestly, he does start at the 3 sometimes, so that would be kind of cool to see him mix into the starting lineup every now and then. This guy's a dog, man. I loved him coming out of the draft. It was so fun to watch him in the dunk contest. That was really cool. He actually impressed me. But he's just got... He kind of reminds me of, almost a mix of, if he was, a taller Russell Westbrook. In a sense of, he can shoot the ball a little bit better than Westbrook could, but he's also... just got the attacking of Russell Westbrook, the explosion almost of Russell Westbrook, and I think he could be something really special moving forward. Jalen Wells is not a bad pick, though, Jack. I don't know what you're talking about. The eye test crap, that's not really a thing. You just made that shit up right now. The eye test. I get what you mean for, looking at a player oh, he's great, the eye test there, but not for awards, homie.
I mean, I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. And
Are
I
you gonna
think
watch a game of
I
his
think
now?
when he does, between this and what I said about him last episode being on the Rising Stars team for the All-Star weekend, I think they're both may come back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah,
but
wait. Why have you been shitting on Jalen Wells for 2 weeks in a row?
I don't know.
Say you're sorry.
Hey, he's a great 3-and-D.
I don't know if I can apologize to him just yet, but if he proves me wrong, I will look in that camera and I will say, Jalen Wells, I owe you an apology. I was unfamiliar with your game.
I really, you know what, Jalen Wells, please,
Yo,
please.
when he scores like 30,
Please
in
make
2
Jack
weeks-
Haskell apologize yet again on Afterthought
Yeah,
Sports.
we could get our own apology on this show, just like he had on the last show.
Yeah,
I
look
this is gonna
forward
be
to that.
awesome.
I'm
I
going to get
can't wait.
released from my contract before it even ends.
Well, this is kind of interesting, this next one. Defensive Player of the Year. The clear, far and away front runner was Victor Wembanyama, but he's out for the season now, so things have shifted. There are definitely different players to watch for Defensive Player of the Year because of Wemby being out for the rest of the season. I'm going to go first, and I got Jaren Jackson Jr. He's having a career season in almost every statistical category, while also shooting 49.7% from the field. That is very good. He's averaging 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. The assist numbers, it doesn't really matter. He's a big man. He's there to play defense, get the rebounds, and fix mistakes that other guys are making. Clean up those little rebounds that he gets and put them right back up for a layup. Just make the game easier for the rest of his team. And he's having a Defensive Player of the Year type of season. He's having an all-star season. Jaren Jackson Jr. is somebody you should definitely be looking out for in the near future when it comes to defensive players in this league.
I feel like in general, Jaren Jackson Jr. is just having a tremendous season. He deserves a little bit of a spotlight for a second, to be honest,
100%.
because he's also spacing the floor at a higher level. 36% as opposed to last year is sitting around 30 or 32, something like that. But it's the floor spacing. It's the fact that he's a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. It's the fact that last year he played without Ja, and he put up similar numbers, around 22, 6, and 2. This year he gets Ja back, and he actually still has an incremental amount to go up even further. So you have to imagine he's keeping up the production even when he gets a star player back. He's going to be someone who's here to stay for a while.
My only knack with Jaren Jackson Jr. at 6'11", only 6 rebounds a game. And I mean, you can make the argument that he has Zach Edey next to him most of the time, Edey being 7'4", so he'll get all those rebounds. But I mean, if you're 6'11", and for how good of a defensive player you are, I feel like you got to be able to get just a few more rebounds. I'm not even saying he has to average double-digit rebounds, but I just feel like 6 for his height and the way he plays and how big he plays is just a little low.
I can kind of see that, but also at the same time, he's not really. I mean, I guess he does play center, but he also plays mostly power forward because of Edey has been really good. But I have to agree with you a little bit. 6 is low. You know what? For someone who has played a decent amount of center in their career. Jaren
And
Jackson,
he plays center for most of the games. I feel like that Edey hasn't been able to play either. So like, do you want your nearly 7-foot center only grabbing 6 boards a game?
It's kind of confusing. I really don't know where to go with that. But I think you also have to look at he is a floor spacer too. He's not always going to be in the paint to grab rebounds, on an offensive possession like that.
Every other aspect of his game, though, I mean, like you said, he's on pace to set career highs, and it almost begs to differ. Is he a sneaky All-NBA candidate this season?
I would say yeah, for sure. You could definitely throw him in that All-NBA third-team selection if you really wanted to. I mean, you would have to go down the list of big men. Although it's positionless now, isn't it?
I think it's somewhat positionless.
Something.
Is it completely?
I don't think he's quite there yet. All NBA. Give it a year or two. You never know. I mean, you could see a crazy jump. Maybe the rebounds hold him back from All NBA. And next year, he grabs, say, 8 rebounds, and he's averaging around 23 points, shooting the same clip, getting those steals, getting those blocks. You could see him on All NBA for sure. I mean, it's hard to be on All-NBA with guys like Domantas Sabonis, Evan Mobley being in the conversation. Alfred Sengun could be in the conversation for All-NBA when it comes to big men in the NBA. So I think it's pretty wide open for the big men as it goes for All-NBA. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Jaren Jackson Jr. come the end of the season making an All-NBA team, because that's just the kind of season that he's having right now. But he's being impactful. The Grizzlies are winning. They're a top seed in the West, which is a very, very, very tight conference, a very, very hard conference to compete in this day and age. You never know, man. Jaren Jackson has been great this season.
Yeah, top of their conference, winning a lot of games, being a defensive anchor on one of the best teams in your conference. I'm not talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm talking about Evan Mobley, who I have for my Defensive Player of the Year. I mean,
what a segue. Jesus.
He is the defensive anchor of the best team in the East that's playing better record-wise than the Celtics, which you have to imagine when you put the two teams side by side.
Why'd you point at me, James?
Wait.
Because you're a Celtics fan. I'm just saying, when you put the teams side by side, the Celtics definitely have a more loaded roster. Evan Mobley's the defensive anchor of the best team in the East. That's my case.
Did you say best team in the East? No, they're the best team in the NBA.
Oh, are
Yes,
they?
They're blowing out every great team in the NBA by 20 points or more.
They
They kicked the crap out of the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks not too long
And
ago.
the poor Magic last night got beat
Oh,
by 40.
My goodness.
40.
Telling you, Cleveland moves the ball like no other team, and they're defending way better than everybody else. They should be winning the ring this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Magic only scored 82 points last night, so, kind of pushes it in a little further.
You mentioned defensive anchor, and my Defensive Player of the Year pick, it's kind of the dark horse pick, but if you really dive into it, I don't think it's as far-fetched as it may seem.
Mm-hmm.
Dyson Daniels of the Atlanta Hawks is on pace to be the first player to average 3 steals a game since 1980. And I understand Defensive Player of the Year, it's more of a big man award, if we're being completely honest. But Gary Payton won it way back when. Marcus Smart recently won it, first guard since Gary Payton. And I think Dyson Daniels can sneak into it. I mean, you look at what he was doing in New Orleans, completely different player. He came to the Hawks in that trade, in the DeJounte Murray trade. Atlanta fans didn't really know what to expect. They lost DeJounte Murray. That experiment didn't go the way that they were hoping. I feel like Dyson Daniels was almost kind of a throw-in in that trade. And now you look at what he's been doing for the Hawks, and he's arguably one of, if not the best defensive guards in the league right now.
Yeah, I like that stat. I did look. Gambling odds for Defensive Player of the Year, Dyson Daniels is third, at like plus 10,000. It's a long shot, but I think that's an interesting point. If you're going to do something that no one's done since 1980, you should get some national attention for it, and I don't think Dyson Daniels is getting any of that for what he's doing at all.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, Marcus Smart, one of my favorite players to ever watch play basketball. But if Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year, I think Dyson Daniels can absolutely win Defensive Player of the Year. I really don't think it's that far-fetched.
No, I don't think it's far-fetched at all. I mean, when you see a guard that's just locking up your best player, like your favorite player's favorite player, getting the ball.
And you look at some of the games of how many steals he's had in a single game. You look 6, 7, 8. Like,
it's crazy.
He's just racking them up.
James and I talked about it it was like a month ago or something. Like Dyson Daniels, man, like he just gets so many steals and it's unreal.
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
And it came out of nowhere too. No one. If you told me at the beginning of the season that Dyson Daniels would be averaging 3 steals a game by this point, I would laugh in your face.
Seriously, it's like such a random.
Well, first I would ask, who is Dyson Daniels? And then I would laugh in your face. But that's actually really disrespectful to Dyson Daniels. He's a baller. Shout out Dyson Daniels.
Yeah, seriously. Like, of course, I've heard of Dyson Daniels going into the season, but I would have, quite frankly, the same reaction.
He was a bona fide role player, and now he's like the defensive anchor of a team.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Moving on to the next award, we got 6th Man of the Year. I'm going to just go out and say it. We all have Peyton Pritchard.
Clean sweep.
This is pretty easy. This is probably the easiest award to predict for this year. I mean, he is the far favorite at -200 to win this award, and everybody else is like plus 300.
As a Celtics fan, so goddamn fun to watch Peyton Pritchard shoot the basketball. I mean, against the 76ers the other game, he had like 8 threes. He was just letting them fly. They were going down so easily, and eventually when Drew Holiday leaves the team either because his contract expires or he just gets old or he retires. It's going to be so fun to watch Peyton Pritchard be our franchise point guard. And I wish he could improve on some other aspects of his game, whether it be passing the ball a little more efficiently or just defense. But I cannot wait to watch Peyton Pritchard.
Hold up.
So for you, that's your franchise guard.
Yeah, I was just going to pause.
Well, I mean, I know he's young.
I don't think that's
Explain.
too ridiculous to say that I would want Peyton Pritchard as my franchise point guard.
But to clarify,
Jack.
like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Porzingis are all still there. At
yeah,
that
they're
time, right?
when I say franchise point guard, I mean he is our long-term point guard of the future.
Okay, that's two different things. Franchise point guard means like Luka Doncic.
Franchise point
Okay.
guard means they get a
Ja
super
Morant.
max.
I suppose I misspoke then. Let me speak a little
Your
more
point
clearly.
guard of the foreseeable future.
Yes, I want Peyton Pritchard to be my point guard of the foreseeable future.
See, that's not ridiculous to say.
No,
Franchise
not at all.
point guard though. Oh wow.
I just like the evolution of Peyton Pritchard. I feel
Yeah,
like,
it's
you know,
cool.
I
Yeah.
have a fair amount of Boston Celtics fans that are friends of mine, and it kind of used to be, oh, look, PP getting some minutes, and
Fast
you know,
PP.
you just point at the screen and be like, oh, it's PP, and then maybe he'll shoot a three, and now it's like he's your like solidified half court shot guy.
Yeah,
He's shooting
that's
40%
literally his
from three.
role most games. It's you put him in with like 4 seconds left going into halftime,
Seriously.
and he just chucks up a half court shot and it goes in.
There's a legitimate buzz in the arena whenever you know Peyton Pritchard's going to put up that last second shot. But, you know, he's shooting 40% from three. He's averaging like 14, 15 a game. Absolutely nothing to complain with there. He's just efficient. That's what you want coming off the bench.
Interesting stat, and I like it because it means that he's the true sixth man of the year. Has not started a single game this season.
That's cool. You know, he requested a trade a few years ago.
He's requested a trade a couple of seasons actually, and credit to Brad Stevens. Every time he's just made him more of a focal point in the offense.
Wow.
You know what?
Because Brad Stevens, I
that's
think, has
a good
acknowledged that Peyton Pritchard could get to this point and can get even better and be even better than he is right now, and he wants to keep Peyton Pritchard in Boston.
I mean, who doesn't?
I think
I want
I
him
think
to
I'll
stay.
cry the day I find out Peyton Pritchard is traded. I hope to God that never
Can you
happens.
just record that for me, please?
Yeah, I'd like to see it. Actually,
Yeah.
seriously, Jack. You're gonna show us that?
We'll show
see.
you
We'll
that.
see.
We'll post it. That'd be awesome. Oh my gosh. Breaking news: Jack Haskell's
Haskell
mad because
bomb.
Peyton Pritchard has been traded to the Utah Jazz. You think that's where you go? Because they're
To the Utah
Because they're
Jazz.
poverty, and he can go average like 22.
Oh my God, what would he do
yeah.
on the Jazz?
What would Peyton Pritchard do on a team with the green light?
Jack, why don't you actually? I know. I put him on a crappy team in my league one time. Bro, averaged like 22.
Yeah, I don't even doubt it.
It was like a few months ago, but
What a dog.
it's kind of irrelevant. But
Shout out Peyton Pritchard. Love me some.
I'm
Love
gonna give a
me.
shout out today.
Love me some fast PP love.
What the?
Peyton Pritchard is the fast PP.
Okay,
I guess.
we're done with this.
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
Coach of the year. I have JB Bickerstaff, coach of the Detroit Pistons, winning this award. The Pistons were 14-68 last season. That's horrible. Okay?
14 and 68.
Yeah. JB Bickerstaff comes in and he's like, "All right, guys, you suck at basketball. You guys don't know how to win. You don't know what's going on." And he's bringing them to the playoffs. I mean, they're making a crazy push right now, leading the way, Cade Cunningham. The Pistons are 32-26 at this very moment. That is the best record that they have had since Blake Griffin in 2019, when they went 41-41.
I really liked Blake Griffin. I remember when Blake Griffin, he'd just be chucking threes on that.
Remember
team.
when
He
Blake
was a
Griffin
baller.
jumped over a car in the dunk contest, and then Mac McClung did it and arguably did it better?
Yeah, I remember that. That certainly has a lot to do with the Pistons and JB Bickerstaff.
That's super relevant. Right?
I heard Blake Griffin. I wanted to talk
okay.
about how he jumped over a car that one time.
That's valid.
Yeah, that one time.
You think about Blake Griffin. Like, I know we're getting off topic a little bit, but like Blake Griffin arguably had one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time.
Yeah.
We could go down that
We
path
could go
for a
down
while.
that
Those Clippers
rabbit hole.
teams.
Save that for another episode.
Lob
that could
City,
definitely be
baby.
a cool episode to talk about Lob City and what could have been. But guess what? We're talking about the Pistons right now. And Blake Griffin on the Pistons when he played, they were good. That's the last time they made the playoffs. This time we're seeing it with Cade Cunningham and more of a team effort and not so much of that one superstar. It's awesome. Detroit basketball being good is good for basketball.
Yeah, I like the Pistons, and I actually have evolved to not mind watching them whatsoever. Ivy, Cunningham, it's working for the Pistons so
It's
far.
cool, man.
But my coach of the year, and I think this is the slam dunk. I hate to take the obvious pick, but Kenny Atkinson, they're having a great year, the best year out of everyone, actually, pretty much. So, if they're going to be up there for the best team in the league, then Kenny Atkinson should also be up there for the best coach in the league. And I think that's just, you understand that, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of similar reasoning to you. My coach of the year, I'm going to butcher his name. I apologize. Mark Diagonal. Mark Diagonal, the OKC Thunder coach. I mean, one of the best teams in the West. Just, I feel like every year that they've had him at the helm, they've just gotten increasingly better. And the team that he's put together, just really fun to watch. And to think that he started in the G League. He was their G League coach, and now he's the head coach. He's been phenomenal for the entire organization.
That's a good story, because you know what? You hear of players coming up from the G League.
Him and Alex Caruso, really. There was a picture of them at an OKC Blue game.
Oh, that's actually pretty fire.
When Mark Dagnall was the assistant coach and Alex Caruso was on the Thunder's G League team, there's a picture of him.
We got to get you practicing saying Mark Diagonal. Holy.
And this guy wants to be a sports commentator.
I think something interesting to point out is JJ Redick isn't on anyone's list.
I don't think no.
The Lakers,
No.
I mean,
I'm just going to flat out say no.
Jack, the Lakers are 4 seed right now.
I understand.
No.
They're the 4 seed, exactly. I think
Yeah,
that's part of the point. They're
Look at
the
their
4
team.
seed.
Look at their team.
I don't know, man.
Genuinely. They were not here last year. JJ Redick wasn't the coach last year. Sorry, there's something I throw. I don't know what's happening. But it's bad. But they held the best player in the league to take it away.
he was they're talking about Jokic. He went 2 for 7, only 12 points in that game over the weekend, where the Lakers beat him by 20. I think, it's a good point. They had a really good scheme against Jokic, and I think it definitely caught the Nuggets off guard. That was certainly, what LeBron and JJ Redick talked about on their podcast while they were drinking wine, last summer.
That's
or
crazy to
whatnot.
think about how they went from podcast to head coach and star player.
Yeah, I love that. But I think you got to be a number 1 seed to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm taking nothing away from JJ Redick. What he has done, the fact he's a 4 seed in his first year as a head coach, first year ever as a head coach, coaching in any sort of capacity, I give JJ Redick all the credit in the world. I just don't think he's Coach of the Year.
Yeah, especially when, just clarify, it shouldn't only be a 1 seed that, gets the Coach of the Year, but, LeBron's on the team.
There's also a resume, I feel like, for Coach of the Year.
Nope. Yeah.
And I don't think he passes that.
I don't think there is a resume. It's the coach of that year and that year only. Nothing
No,
else.
I don't mean resume like before. I mean resume of the entire season.
So JJ Redick should be considered. Yes.
I mean, we can go
Yes.
back and forth about this, but
The Lakers would have to finish really well. They're hot right now. If they finish like they've been playing, they'd be like the 2 seed. So I mean,
just comparatively to some of the other coaches that arguably deserve it more than him, I just don't think you can put him there yet.
He's in the conversation. I don't think that he doesn't necessarily deserve it because he's a first-year coach. He was thrown into a crappy situation when he got to LA. Be for real. When you the first-year coach of the LA Lakers or just general
He was
coach of
forced
the
to
LA
he was
Lakers?
forced to draft LeBron's son.
Okay, Jack, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying the whole point of like LA, like you're getting attacked 24/7. Everyone was saying you can't coach, you're a podcaster, blah blah blah. He comes in, he has one of the best defensive schemes in the league. And when the season started, he had one of the best offensive schemes in the league, running Anthony Davis as a hub of their offense. You cannot, when it comes to Coach of the Year, yes, there's other coaches that deserve it, but JJ Redick needs to be acknowledged.
Giving him more credit, he also was the second option behind the 2-time national champion in college basketball and Dan Hurley.
Well, no one's going to listen. Okay, if you're a grown man in the NBA, I'm sorry, they're not going to listen to Dan Hurley screaming.
No, I understand that. And we actually talked about this on Afterthoughts yesterday. Shout out Afterthoughts, available on the YouTube channel now. Please go check it out. But I think
Shameless
just the expectation after striking out on Dan Hurley, and it's like, oh, Lakers had to settle for J.J. Redick. So what he's doing, I give him credit. I really do. Just not Coach of the Year yet.
I'm not going to ignore that LeBron and Bronny hate right there.
Don't even get me started, because we will talk about this for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, I frankly don't want to hear Jack talk about LeBron and Bronny, because oh my goodness, it's
one of these days we'll go into it. But
it's bad. We off camera we go at it so many times.
Because he's so incredibly wrong every time. It's actually crazy. Next, last, and final award that we have here is the most improved player for this year. Jack, why don't you start us off with this?
Yeah, give me Norman Powell. Arguably should have been an all-star, having the best season of his career, and this late in his career even too. Mm-hmm. Clippers lost Paul George in the offseason, didn't really have a replacement for him, and with Kawhi's injury history, you never know if he's going to be healthy, how long he's going to be healthy for, and Norman Powell stepped up for the Clippers this season.
Yeah, 12th season in the NBA. He's only averaged over 20 points one other time. That was in the 2021 to 2022 season, in which he only played 5 games.
So does that even really count?
That does not really count. Last year he averaged 14. The year before he averaged 17. We're going to see him average upwards of 24 points per game by the time this season is over. He started every game also this season, 45 for 45. He'd only done that one other time. That was in 2021 on the Trailblazers. But again, the numbers weren't there as much as they are now. I mean, what an improvement from 14 a game to 24. How do you go up by 10?
And this truly is what the most improved player award should be. We've seen so many times sophomores getting it after their rookie campaigns. That's just, I feel like that's not fair. I feel like that discredits a lot of other guys. Obviously, you're going to take a jump from your first season to your second season in the NBA. But like a guy like Norman Powell, I love the fact that he's having a career resurgence this late in his career.
You're cooking, Jack.
I'm trying. I throw out a good take every now and again. They're muffled by a lot of really bad and questionable takes, but I throw out a good one every now and again.
Breaking news: Jack Haskell says something smart.
Yeah, Austin, who's your most improved player?
My most improved player is Dyson Daniels.
I like that. I like that.
Last year he averaged 5.8 points per game. This year he's up to 13.9. His steals compared from last season, 1.4, to now almost 4 steals a game, sitting at 3.7. Unreal.
He's sitting at 4? Maybe it was 4 steals, and I was just saying 3 this whole time.
It is 3. He's at 3.7, though, almost 4.
Jesus. Yeah, if Dyson Daniels, by the grace of God, doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year, give him Most Improved Player. Sorry, Norman Powell.
44% last season.
Oh, my God.
Last season. This season up to 47% from the field. Last season he shot 31% from the 3. This season 33.
So,
he has improved in every
I'm going to buy a Dyson Daniels jersey.
Statistical category. Literally being most improved player. I think he should win this. I think he deserves to win this award, especially with the defense that he brings to the table for this Atlanta Hawks team when you have a guard like Trae Young who really can't guard a traffic cone. Probably not this Aquafina water bottle if he needed to.
I will say, though, if he does end up winning Defensive Player of the Year, I don't give him Most Improved. I think you got to give it to somebody else.
I'm not going to lie, Jack, what you said about Norman Powell, considering he's in his 12th year. I like that case a little bit more than Dyson Daniels, because Dyson Daniels, I think what we're seeing now is
still relatively young, too.
He's also, just getting the opportunity to kind of play every day, whereas he was normally kind of that platoon guy. He'd play if they could get him in almost.
Or he'd come off the bench, generally. Yeah. Maybe not even get that much of run-in, but
I don't know. Norman Powell.
That's actually a great point. Seeing now what he can do as an everyday starter, it's like, what happens when he only progresses from here?
Guys, he's in year 12. There's really not much more room for improvement.
No, we're talking about Dyson Daniels.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Norman
I thought you were talking about Norman Powell for a second.
Jack, you just said year 12. We're talking about Norman Powell.
I was talking about Dyson Daniels with what I just said.
Well, Jack,
Norman Powell was never a platoon guy. Norman Powell was always a crucial role off the bench.
Because initially I was talking about Dyson. We got a little backwards there somehow. I was talking about Dyson Daniels kind of being that platoon. He's only been in the league for, 3 seasons now?
Yeah.
He'd played 2 seasons prior to this year. And I think in both of those 2 seasons, he just didn't even get a chance to play. Kind of almost like with your rookie season argument, where they should be making progress in their second year. I think you're seeing more of an improvement from Norman Powell.
Shout out Dash Daniels, his brother. Just came in today.
How many shout outs
in the top 10 of the class of 2026 draft lottery rankings? Kentucky commit. I want to spread the love. I want to spread the wealth today.
The draft of 25 hasn't even happened yet. You're talking about the draft of 26?
It came out today. It's fresh on my mind.
Yo, Jack, thank you for that insight.
Yeah,
I appreciate
honestly,
it
thanks.
so much. Because I'm so looking forward to draft 26. James, what about you? Aren't you hyped for draft 26?
Yeah,
that's AJ Dispasanta.
What'd you say?
That's AJ Dispasanta. I definitely butchered his name too.
Oh
but
my gosh.
AJ DeBansa.
AJ DeBansa.
Cool.
Yes.
All cool.
It's all good. I'm sure he'll forgive you. Do you want to shout him out?
Shout out AJ DeBansa.
Yeah, shout him out. Give him a shout out.
Yo, this episode has been so everywhere. It's been a little messy, but honestly, it's been fun. Like, full honesty here, we're all really tired. We've been super busy. We've been really focused on Afterthoughts, the show. I want to end this episode kind of telling you guys about Afterthoughts. This is going to be a live show moving forward on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. weekly. Our first live show should be about March Madness, so feel free to tune in if you love hoops, if you love basketball.
Oh, that's going to be such a good show when I argue my takes with Ryan Lombardi.
Yeah. Ryan Lombardi is the host of that show, but you will see me, James, and Jack, and other faces of Afterthought on the show. It is going to be all sports, and it should be something that gets even bigger and even better as time goes on. But with that being said, this has been episode 4 of Above the Rim. Thank you, James. Thank you, Jack, for joining me today.
Of course.
And thank you guys for watching and tuning in. And as always, peace.
Shout out Austin Townley.